Good morning and welcome to this episode of the East Central Business Show. I'm John Naylor. I'm here today with Farley Tolpen from the Mediation Experts. Farley, thank you very much for coming in to talk to me.
John, thanks for having me.
That's great. Now, we hang out and network together and we've had a great chat off camera before we started today, but what is the Mediation Experts about? What's going on?
Mediation Experts resolves conflict. That can resolve conflict quickly, easily, without massive litigation costs, timely, and it brings about peace and people can move on.
Yeah, okay. I think, and I get that because there's a whole range of things that end up in mediation, isn't there? But the fundamental thing, and I even had a little issue in QCAT the other day, you know, and you always go into those things, and I think it's just human nature, isn't it, that we always want to win, you know, even if it's a mediation, if it's a court situation, whatever it is, we want to win, don't we?
Absolutely. Everybody wants to win. What I tell people, don't come to me because they're happy. Okay. They come to me because they think they're right. Yeah. And they've been wronged. And they want to win, and they have their position that is right, by gosh. And so when I talk to them, I talk about, okay, I acknowledge that, but you also want to resolve the conflict or the issue, is that right?
No, I want to win, you know, I've got to win. I mean, how do you break that down? Because surely that's the fundamental issue that's even got them into that situation in the first place, is it not?
Well, that's right. So the way you break it down is I build my rapport and trust with the client, so it could be you or it could be anybody else, by having about an hour conversation on the phone. Where I explain the mediation process, why it works, how we're going to do it, how you get to talk about what your concerns are, how the other party gets to talk what their concerns are, and then how we're going to resolve it.
Okay. But do you go into the room? Like, is it important to go in? I mean, for me personally, when you go into something like that, you still got this mindset of like, maybe I'm prepared to give a little bit, I still want to win. You know, is it important that the attitude you take into the room to get a result? Or is that where you come in?
Well, it's important to think, believe in your experience, and I acknowledge your experience, but it's also important that you and I build a rapport that we can get this resolved. Okay, whatever it looks like, and that you'll be open to explore options, thinking outside the box. So, and I may suggest there's more than one answer. And we talk about that. What could it look like? And what would the other party think? And so everything I do with you, I do with the other party pre-mediation. So we've already built up the rapport and trust, how we possibly can resolve this and what the issues are. And so when you've come in that I want this, say, amount of money.
Or you've got something in mind, It's normally amount of money, because that's human nature again, isn't it?
That's right. Otherwise, what would I do? Retail? So you've got, normally it's money, so talk about, well, how can we resolve it? What, is there a way to compromise? Is there a way to look at other options? Is there a way to maybe get that money on a payment plan? Is there, whatever it is, that's what we want to explore. And that's why mediation's great, because it gives people the opportunity to do it in a non-adversarial way. With either lawyers present or not present.
Okay, cool. Now, there's a range of things you mediate about. What are some of those? So,
a lot of matters I mediate workplace disputes, like there could be harassment, money, partnership disputes. I had one the other day between a supervisor and a person under him. They weren't communicating. You can get estate disputes, a lot of family allowance claims, commercial disputes. Could be about money or partnerships or disputes about trademarks, or you can get franchise disputes I mediate, or I am now mediating rural farm disputes. Where by law in Queensland, before a bank can foreclose on a farmer or a farm, they have to go to mediation. Well, I'm on that panel. So there's a range of things going on there. I think you mentioned about estates is another big issue as well. Yes, you get a lot of those. You get what's called family allowance disputes, which is a section in the Succession Act where children can apply for an estate for a family allowance, a monthly allowance. And sometimes children come out of the woodwork. And sometimes children or family relatives want more than the estate is worth, or so you get a lot of arguments and emotions. Yeah,
that's a can of worms, obviously. You know,
yes,
there's DNA tests and who's responsible for that happening,
and they haven't talked to mom and dad for 30 years, or you get all kinds of emotional drama, and there's all kinds of other matters to mediate. Real estate, construction. It's a great field, and the good news about it, John, in my experience, about 90% resolve at mediation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, how about that other thing I want to touch on as well, and is principle. You know, I mean, because I hear so often, and I've got another friend that's in the courts mediation process in Melbourne. He does, and he's entertained by it as much as you are, by the sound of. But he talks about so many times people come in with, and that winning attitude is translated into, no, we're going to this, we're going to go the whole way with this because of the principle. Is it this principle thing? What's the value of principle? Can you put a dollar amount on it?
Well, I'll put it this way. If I had $10 for every time I heard that it's only the principle, Farley, it's not the money or the children or the workplace, it's just I'm right, I'd be a wealthy man. Because you hear it most of the time, because the principle goes back to positions. So a party comes in, it's like, I'm right. It goes back to what you were saying. And it should be this. Yeah. It should be A instead of the other party saying Z.
Yeah.
And look what they've done to me. And they've wronged me. And so they tried to get me to, as any humans would, to accept what I've suggested. Okay. Or accept what their position is.
Yeah.
And why they're right.
Okay.
And so instead of accepting it, I acknowledge it. And then start to discuss, well, is there other ways to look at it?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And do it in a way that, again, weds them to the process of resolution, because that's what it's about. So you may be right, John, you may be absolutely right, but at the end of the day, would you like to resolve the matter? And if you'd like to resolve the matter, are you willing to explore, just have a look at other things?
Sure.
There's no obligation. This is great. This is a no obligation process.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But the nice thing is, it's a voluntary process, 90% work at mediation.
Okay,
because people want to.
So, okay, so that's probably one of your key takeaways is why not roll the dice and allow mediation to play out and see what happens as a result of that. It's a day of your life that can stop months or years and lots of money, lots of emotional turmoil by resolving it. So you can bring peace in your life. Yeah, that's true. We've all lost sleep. I know I've lost sleep. There's been all sorts of things in terms of business arrangements that have gone wrong, and that's cascaded into some terrible, terrible outcomes that took months and months to resolve. And I guess it's best to avoid that. And so mediation is a key way to get that done. Yeah. Well, it is, because what I always tell people don't come to me because they like me, they like my accent, I'm handsome, which I am, but they come to me because they've got an issue, or they're in conflict. So and they're stuck. And so I call that the vortex, or some people call it the mouse on the wheel. So how can we stop that? And how can we resolve it, or work to resolve it so people can move on? Okay, fantastic. So now getting back to that question of principle then. So are we talking about, what is the price of principle? Is it like a good night's sleep, a peace of mind, maybe a few bucks? I mean, is that the thing you got to put on the table to offset principle? Well, I'll give you an example. I had a mediation. It was a small case in the scheme of things. It was about $15,000 that people were arguing, and I did it on, they came to me, they referred to me, and we sat down, and it was the principal. I heard that from this person. I want the $15,000, and the other one went, well, no, because he did this, that, and the other. And so it gave them a chance. So Mr. Principal had to listen to why the other person wasn't going to pay him the $15,000 and discuss it. Yeah. Okay. And so that's the good thing at mediation. Well, it's the principal, but they get to talk about it, whether we're in the same room or separate rooms. Okay. So it's not an absolute. Some people will go, no, I want the $15,000. If I don't get it, I'm walking. And I can try everything I can, my experience of 30 years, and they're just not going to move. That happens. But 90% it doesn't happen, and they resolve. Oh, okay. Look, I tell you what, I mean, almost the epiphany while we've been speaking around this is like, yeah, that win that maybe you're looking for at mediation is not a win financially or a win in terms of over the other person, but a win for yourself?
Yes. Because like you said, when you get mired in this conflict, what happens when we have conflict and it's perpetuated? We wake up at night.
No, it does your head in.
Oh yeah, it drives you crazy.
Yeah.
And it permeates, and you may have, I explain it when I talk about conflict resolution with lawyers, you may have 60, 80, 100 files. It's that one or two, though, that you wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning and your mind is racing, that just constantly do your head in. And it's the same thing with this.
Okay.
You live in it, so it's living in this negative, destructive energy, and it builds a story and a force.
Yeah.
So it's how can we build a new story that resolves that?
Yeah, I'm starting to feel a bit mediated now.
Do you? Would you like to talk about this?
Well, no, I think we have, and I guess even the outcome that I've got out of this is that win, and I can think of cases in my life and my history that where things needed mediation, or or there was an issue that went to court and that sort of thing, and then, we didn't get a result because you had this mindset of win, but it was a win over the other person as opposed to a win for who? I mean, the win is for yourself. Yeah.
Exactly.
And you put aside some principle, a few bucks, or put everything on the table and shift the pieces around so you get to sleep at night. That's the win, isn't it?
That's the win, is the resolution, because you can move forward. We're a very adversarial society. Lawyers are taught at law school how to be adversaries. It's an adversarial system, so it's built in for that. So mediation takes it out of it to an extent and talks about, well, okay, now how can we resolve it in a way that you don't get caught in that adversarial system? Because normally now, unless you're going to QCAT, your matter will take 2 years to get to trial. Now imagine that, and sometimes you're going to pay your lawyer 40, 50 grand, you're going to pay your barrister 40, 50 grand, or even more, depending on the complexity, to go to trial. And live with that for 2 years. And then constantly be called into court, and it just permeates your life.
Okay, so now so 90% success rate, that's fabulous. What is that thing that the people need to go into the room with on the day then? This winning attitude, or?
Well, you can have, I tell people, I ask people, are they wedded, would they like to resolve it?
Okay.
And if you'd like to resolve it, then I congratulate them and explain you're halfway there.
Okay.
Because if you want to resolve it and they want to resolve it, now we need to talk about how. Okay?
All right.
So it starts the process of healing. So that's where these pre-mediation intakes come in that I was telling you about.
Okay.
Where we talk about, okay, that's your position. What are they going to say? And what is there other ways to look at it? Have you got advice? So it's a whole, an hour session that helps build my rapport and start you on the process of not necessarily coming off that your position is right or fair, but looking at a way to resolve it that may be a compromise. Okay, if we want to get there.
Okay, so the pre-study effect, or the pre-study element is actually as important as what happens on the day.
Absolutely, because I have to build my rapport with you prior to that day to have you come to this journey with me. I could build it that day, but it takes a lot of time because then we haven't chatted, we haven't talked about where we are, what the issues are. We'd have to do it that day. So I've already hopefully built that, and most times I do. And most times you do because you want to resolve it.
Righto.
And most times you understand I've heard what you've said. I've acknowledged what you said. I don't say I agree or disagree because I'm impartial, which is a great job. I don't have to make any judgments. I can just, how can we resolve it? What would it look like?
Okay.
Yes.
No, I can see how you can very much enjoy that. But anyway, look, that's probably about enough for today. Obviously, we could talk to Farley for hours, but Farley Tolpen, the mediation experts now, you've got a website that they can go to. They search for the mediation experts.
.com.au on Google, yes. And you got to have the in front of it, though.
All right. Thank goodness you put that there.
Yes.
That's my best advice, not.
Don't listen to him. We need to mediate this. Okay.
I'm sure we can resolve this in an amicable way. I'm infinitely negotiable. But Farley, thank you very much for your time today. Look, that's obviously some really great advice from Farley about how to win at mediation, and that's obviously taking the right sort of attitude and look at what it is for you that you want to get out of that. Farley, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, John. Good to be here. Thanks for your time.
Absolute pleasure, Farley. That's this episode done for the eCentral Business Show. I'm John Naylor.